This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 374, How to be the Best Public Speaker on the Planet, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. And I'm Dan, I am your host and narrator here. Welcome back to Optimal Startup Daily, or welcome for the very first time if you happen to be new here. This is the podcast where I read to you from some of the best blogs on entrepreneurship. And today's post is from popular writer James Altucher, and I'll share some more about him after the reading. So for now, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. How to be the Best Public Speaker on the Planet, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. I was scared to death. I thought I was going to cry. Polls say people would rather be dead than speak in public. Seinfeld joked that a guy giving a eulogy would rather be in the coffin. I've given hundreds of talks, but last week I wanted to die before I went on stage. I was speaking to an audience of about 200 CEOs. I felt inadequate and that they would hate me. My wife said, just take a deep breath, do what you usually do. And I did. Here's the operating theory. You don't need 10,000 hours at anything to be the best. You just need to be pretty good at something, a couple of hundred hours, and then you need to know how to give a good talk in public, because so few people want to talk in public, so you'll stand out. I wrote a post a year ago called 10 Unusual Tips to be a Great Public Speaker. I still follow those tips, but since the first post, I've gotten a lot more talks to a varied set of audiences. I've spoken out about everything from spirituality to business to creativity to entrepreneurship to failure. And before each talk, I've always thought to myself, holy shit, how did I write that post about public speaking? I'm more nervous than ever. So I have a few more tips, and these tips are as important as the first 10. A. Watch comedians. I watch great stand-up comedy before every talk. It puts me in a looser mood and makes me laugh, which relaxes me. When possible, I will directly steal a joke from whatever comedian I'm watching. If they've tested out the joke, then it's probably a good one and will work for me as well. I even practice imitating their timing, the way they pause, the way they change voices and move around the stage, everything. Comedians are the best public speakers and are up against the most brutal audiences, so you must study comedians. B. No PowerPoint. I used to think I always needed a PowerPoint, because as useful as my words are, a picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say. This is total BS. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then you are worth 100,000 pictures. I compared Daniel Tosh's stand-up with his TV show Tosh.0. In his stand-up, it's just him making jokes, no PowerPoint. In Tosh.0, the format is that he watches YouTube videos and makes fun of them. His stand-up is better than the show. Even though the show is great, it isn't as fun as just watching him do stand-up. PowerPoint will only distract you from the main attraction, you. C. Clothes. I only dress in clothes I feel most comfortable in, even if everyone else is wearing tuxedos. When I speak, I have a specific uniform. I wear a t-shirt I had custom made that has all 67,000 words of my book, Choose Yourself, printed on it. And I wear a white shirt over it and black pants, like a waiter. I'm at your service, and I've chosen myself. Bam. D. Pause. I had this unnatural fear that if I paused too much during a talk, people would get bored. But inserting pauses allows people to think about what you're saying. It allows you to breathe. It allows you to be funnier. It avoids the impression that you are rushing through the material. Take a drink of water. Walk from one side of the stage to the other, whatever you need to do. E. Q&A. I enjoy Q&A as much as the talk itself, so I arrange beforehand to do the maximum amount of Q&A. F. ABS. Always be storytelling. Never give advice in a talk. Nobody is smart enough to give advice. Just talk about your own experiences and what you did to help yourself. Mix in interesting facts. Straight-out advice will never help anyone. Buddha himself realized this about public speaking. He said, "Don't believe me on anything. Try this out for yourself." G. ABV. Always be vulnerable. Nobody wants to hear from invulnerable man. They want to hear where you are scared and vulnerable and feeling insecure, because we all do. Poor speakers create an artificial divide between themselves and the audience. They feel they need to do this in order to establish their own credibility. Let me tell you, there is no such thing as credibility. In 100 years, there will be no buildings named after any of us. Somebody has to be on stage, and some people have to be in the audience. That's the only difference. Don't put any thought as to why you are on the stage or how you need to be better than the people in the audience. You aren't better. You're simply the speaker. We all woke up lonely and confused this morning. What a miracle that we get to speak to each other. And even better, we feed the soul by listening to each other. Ultimately, the best speakers are the ones who have put 10,000 hours into listening. And you just listened to the post titled How to Be the Best Public Speaker on the Planet by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. Now, if you're looking to build an online store and you're not familiar with Shopify, I highly recommend checking it out. Shopify is more than an online store. It's a way to connect with your customers, drive sales, and manage your day-to-day. Scaling your business is a journey of endless possibility, and we all need help along the way. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business, so upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. Personally, I love how Shopify has the tools and resources that make it easy for any business to succeed, from down the street to around the globe. Reach customers online and across social networks with an ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and more. Plus, gain insights as you grow with detailed reporting of conversion rates, profit margins, and beyond. More than a store, Shopify grows with you. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Go to shopify.com/OSD, that's all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/OSD right now. Shopify.com/OSD. And thank you to James, who is an entrepreneur, writer, investor, trader, and podcaster. And on his podcast, he's got interviews with a bunch of talented people like Nancy Cartwright, Sarah Blakely, Tony Robbins, Arianna Huffington, and many more. The podcast is called The James Altucher Show, and you can always find it in the top charts in the business category of Apple Podcasts for good reason. He's published 20 books and founded or co-founded over 20 companies. Come by jamesaltucher.com to learn and read more. He's always got a unique take on things. But that should do it for today here at Optimal Startup Daily. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will, of course, be back here tomorrow reading to you, and that's where your optimal life awaits.